Welcome everyone. Today we're going to talk about another Q&A. It has been quite a while, hasn't it? I don't actually remember when the last Q&A was, and in fact, I don't even remember what number Q&A this even is, so I couldn't even tell you, like, welcome to Q&A number 8 or whatever. I'm just throwing that number out there because I don't actually know what number we're on. But the point is, it's time for more Q&A stuff. And we're going to start today with a question from Unaja, who is asking the future of Manga Record both as a genre or franchise of Pura Magi. What do you think Shaft will bring Manga Record to? But the thing is, Shaft does not actually control Manga Record. Shaft has animated the anime, but that's about it. When it comes to Manga Record, it's actually F4S or F4 Samurai that actually makes stuff happen within the game, but it is still Aniplex, like the Japanese branch of Aniplex, because it's also like Aniplex NA, but they don't have anything to do with this. There's Aniplex that basically owns the Maga franchise, and they have basically tasked F4S with continuing the game, with continuing Manga Record. So what is going to actually happen with Manga Record in the future? Well, I don't really know. I don't think anyone really knows. The anime has been mostly a success. I mean, I know there's a lot of people who don't like the anime. I like the anime. I think the anime was at least better than the game. I know it has many problems. The anime is really fucking far from being great, but it's still better than the game in my opinion. The point is though that just sales wise, the anime has actually sold decently well. It might not have been an absolute top seller, but it still did decently well. Like the anime, if you're looking at it just from the perspective of a businessman, was definitely a success. The manga is also doing pretty darn well. So yeah, both mangas, because there's actually two mangas going on for Manga Record. Both of them are doing pretty darn well at all, and the game itself is also doing maybe not great, but it's doing decently enough. It's like making maybe 4 to 5 times as much money as games that have been shut down. So if you take a look at all of the games that have been shut down at some point, Manga Record makes 4 to 5 times as much as those games that have been shut down. So we're still going pretty strong. And also something to note is that the revenue of Manga Record hasn't really gone down in the past year. It's been extremely steady. Like the revenue for Manga Record is basically just a straight line for all the months. If you look from January to December of 2021, it's just a straight fucking line. Like nothing changes at all. And knowing that Manga Record is making a decent amount of money, it just seems like we're going to keep seeing Manga Record for a pretty long time from now on. Second question: the story of Iroha has ended for good, but it's a Manga story that can continue as big as a Manga Record. I don't think that Iroha's story is ever going to end, simply because the entire marketing of Manga Record is focused so much on Iroha that there's no way they're going to just let Iroha's story end. They've put so many millions of dollars into marketing Iroha as a character, they're not just going to let her story end. And even if it did end somehow, I don't think they're going to do much else with it. Where else would they even go? That's a good question. Where could they even go outside of Iroha? Iroha is not actually that important of a character to the story, in my opinion. Arc 2 could happen basically the exact same way without Iroha. She really isn't that important at all. But more so from a writer's perspective. Writers are so focused on Iroha. Are writers even able to write a story without Iroha? I don't even know. We might still see the story continue as if Iroha never existed. They probably would make it happen. The story probably wouldn't be great, but the story is already not great to begin with. You can be like, okay, the story currently is maybe a 4 out of 10. So if Iroha was gone, maybe it's still gonna be a 4 out of 10. I don't think it's gonna be that much better or worse if Iroha was gone, simply because the writers that write main story, most notably not Mibu, are just terrible. So Iroha gone or not is not gonna change anything. So I don't think it's gonna make that much of a difference. Moving on with a question from Tiger, who asks, as a franchise you would choose for a crossover with Maga record, it would be Nep. Oh, I would like Nep. Give me the top Nep, give me the protagonist of protagonists, give me Noah, give me Blanc, give me, okay, maybe not the sisters, because they may be a bit too young. Give me Vert, or Vert, whatever you want to pronounce it, if you want to know like French or whatever. Give me all of them. Because they're basically magical girls anyway, because they transform to become more powerful. But maybe if you put them in Maga record, you can maybe remove some of that fan service stuff. Because let's be honest, the best part about Nep is not the fan service, it's just having fun. Nep is just such a fun franchise that is just, hey, you know what, let's just hang around and let's make fun of all of these tropes, make fun of all of these cliches, and let's just be funny, right? And that's something that I think is missing from a lot of games nowadays, is to just say, let's not try and be serious, let's just have some fun. So that would be great. Secondly, JoJo, give me a fucking JoJo collab. So yeah, maybe either Nep or JoJo were probably the number 1 and 2 collabs that I would like to collab with. But if you want to be more realistic, what would be more realistic for a collab? Maybe Umineko or Higurashi, either of those two, because I think they've also gone into the gacha games just recently. They've I think they've been either a Umineko or a Higurashi gacha, so maybe in that way they could actually be a collab, or with Kirara Fantasia. How the fuck has Maga record, or rather Madoka Magica in general, have featured in so many Kirara Magica mangas, or like magazines rather, and they haven't collabed yet? How the fuck is that possible? How have they not collabed, even though they have been featured so many times? I need Ui to lust after Lamp, because she's a moth, and you know that moth and Lamp. Next question, what character from Monogatari would you add to the game? So I'm gonna be completely honest, I've seen the first 2 movies of Nanoha, and I don't remember fucking anything, okay? I'm gonna be completely honest, I've seen both Nanoha movies, like the first and the second one. I don't remember shit. As soon as I've watched both of these movies, I've immediately forgotten everything that happened. Like, I remember that Nanoha had the evil Fate, and then they fought each other, and then Fate became a good girl because Fate was being controlled by her evil mother, who wasn't actually her mother because Fate was like a fake person or whatever. And then at the end they become gay, and they become really, really gay, but they can't be together because Fate has to, you know, be in prison or whatever. And then the second movie was like, there's more evil magical girls, and they fight the evil magical girls, and then at the end turns out they were actually like good people, but actually being controlled by other evil people, because that's how Nanoha works, where all the evil magical girls are actually being controlled by even more evil people, and actually they're good people. Like, the magical girls are all good people, they're just being controlled by evil people. And I've watched both these movies. I don't remember any fucking thing. I literally don't remember anything. Just like other Nanoha and Fate doing like blowing up cities or whatever. Like, what the fuck? So yeah, I don't actually know what Nanoha character I would actually want to have in the game, because I don't remember any of them. I literally don't fucking remember any of them. I just know that I've seen 2 episodes, literally 2 episodes of the 3rd season, or whatever you want to call it. Not Strikers, the other one with Vivio. I've seen Vivio. And I was like, dude, maybe Vivio, I don't fucking know. I literally don't have any other character to say other than, oh, maybe Vivio, because I know Vivio is a character, so sure, let's go with that. Monogatari, we haven't seen Yotsuki yet, so give me Yotsuki, that's the name, right? Yotsuki? I don't know. The doll girl. It's been 5 years. It's been 5 years since I've seen the last bit of Monogatari. But yeah, it's giving me Yotsuki because we absolutely need her. So yeah, give me all of those. That was gonna be fine. Favorite double descriptions. I'm gonna be a broken record, but Ren, because Ren, I know you keep mentioning every time, we're like, what's your favorite X? And I always say, oh, it's probably Ren. But that's the thing, like, Ren was basically the best at everything, of design, of backstory, of doppel design, of doppel description. So yeah, I like her description the most. Also because I don't read that many doppel descriptions. I know that double descriptions are not canon to the game, because if you go into the story, whatever happens in the story is just not actually canon to the double description. Like, Iroha uses her double multiple times, and nothing fucking matters from a description. Alina uses her double all the time, and if you look at her double description, it tells you all of these terrible things that might happen, but none of that actually happens, because, like I said, double descriptions are not actually canon to the story. So I don't actually care much about descriptions. And most of the descriptions are just really wishy-washy with how, maybe this double could do these things, and might like incorporate this feeling into the double, and that the user has these feelings and that feelings and might have this ability. And it's like really wishy-washy and doesn't actually give you any amount of good understanding of what the double actually is. So I'm just happy with Ren being fucking great, and like her double Renata being fucking great. So I'm just gonna be okay with that. Opinion on Chargios, really great. Chargios is actually now a strategy that is actually really fucking good on Kimochi that play into Chargios. So any Kimochi that plays into Chargios' strengths now is a Chargios Kimochi with no question asked. Nothing else can even get close to it. So yeah, Chargios is great, but only on Kimochis that actually play to their strength. When it comes to ranked mirrors, you have some characters that do charge draw, like Kaoru, for example, that are top tier. I think Saya as well. So Saya and Kaoru are top tier because they have charge draw. But apart from that, you're not really playing charge strategies. You just have charge draw. End of story. So outside of maybe some places in ranked mirrors with charge draw and some Kimochi, Chargios still isn't going to be the one strategy to rule everything. It's still going to be other strategies, but at least it now has a place. Chargios now does have a place, so I like Chargios, but not much else to say about it. Moving on, we have a Baguette of Revenge. What's your favorite, least favorite faction event and why? My favorite faction event is probably Crimson Resolve, followed very closely by Green Jasper Diviners, because they're both written so fucking well, and I like them so much because they put such a great focus on all of the characters. They're both written by Mibu, and you're gonna hear this name coming from me many times. Mibu Mori is the good writer. Like I might have said in the past that there's a good writer, there's a bad writer. I now have actually figured out the name of the good writer. It's Mibu Mori, and Mibu is the good writer. He has written Green Jasper Diviners. He has written Halloween, the Kanagi Halloween story. He has written Crimson Resolve. He has written basically all the faction events, and they're all fucking great. Basically every single event in the game that is good, that hasn't been written by Inokuri, is written by Mibu. And you can really tell it an event has been written by Mibu because he's the guy who actually focuses on characters, character choices, and character abilities. He's the guy that actually remembers that these guys are magical girls that are superhumans with magical abilities, but still at the same time tries to shine a really shine a spotlight onto what these characters are like as characters. And then you have the bad writer, and the bad writer will forget that characters are magical girls. We have, for example, the swimsuit Naze event where the Naze, like the Amane sisters, just get manhandled by normal people. When it's like, how do normal people manhandle superhumans? How does that happen? How do they just get overwhelmed by normal people? How do they just let their soul gems get taken away by normal people? And then you have Aina, who is like, I don't give a shit if I'm gonna hurt people, I'm gonna fight these people, and she can't fight normal people for some fucking reason. And you have Mifuyu, who has illusions. She doesn't even try to use illusions at all. She's just like, well, we can't do anything, even though she hasn't even tried to do anything. It's like, and then and that writer has also written the swimsuit Kyoko event where Karin, who can fly, like not even as part of being a magic girl, but just being Karin, she can fly on her scythe. That's something she can just do. She can fly She gets stuck in a 2-meter deep hole for some fucking reason. She gets stuck in a little hole. She's like, I can't get out of this hole. I'm like, Karin, you can fucking fly, you fucking idiot. But yeah, that's the bad writer. The bad writer will just forget that these guys can do that. And not even with Karin. Uri also gets stuck down there. And do I need to remind you guys, these guys can jump up buildings in a single leap. They can jump like 15 meters high easily, and Ui gets stuck in a 2-meter deep hole with Karin, who can fly, and they just like, oh well, I guess we can't get out of this. I hope someone's gonna come around and help us. Like, what the fuck? But yeah, you have the bad writer who forgets characters are magical superhumans, and it's just like, well, I guess they're normal humans, right? And just doesn't give a shit about characters, because none of the stuff that guy writes has anything, like, does not inform you about any of the characters. And then you have the good writer, Mibu Mori, who writes all the great shit. So all the faction events are pretty darn good. That's basically what I wanted to get to. Mibu writes all the faction events are all really fucking good, okay? So for a favorite event, we have Crimson Resolve, we have Green Jasper Diviners, because they're both just so fucking good at what they want to do. My least favorite is probably Ashen Revolution. Sorry, Pink Noise, and sorry all the other people who like Ashen Revolution. The reason why I dislike Ashen Revolution is because of the main bad guys. Right? The main bad guy, there's two main bad guys. One of them is an anti-Magoka fascist group, which I don't think that's a good villain. I'm sorry, I just don't like that as a villain. I think that's a fucking stupid villain. On the second hand, the secondary villain is the Will of the Universe, which is not only some of it, which is the dumbest thing Maga Record has ever come up with, and I can't even fucking believe that it was Mibu that wrote this shit into the story, even though he writes so much good stuff. But yeah, the Will of the fucking Universe is the bad guy in Ashen Revolution, and I find that so fucking stupid that, yeah, that is easily my least favorite faction event. Moving on to the next question, though, we have Star, who asks, by the way, shoutouts to Nemu. Nemu is one of my favorite characters in the game. I would like to know if you pull for Mifu, Momo, any version of an anytime. So the reason why they're asking this is because anime spoilers. I'm not gonna tell you why, but there's a specific reason why Mifu and Momoko, specifically these two, have a special standing in the anime when it comes to, like, you know, the third season. Point is, would I roll for them if they were good? I don't actually plan ahead who I'm going to roll for. I literally have no fucking idea. I might be the only person playing Maga Record right now who, if you were to ask me what character would I roll for, I would be like, I don't fucking know. I'm just gonna see what happens when the character releases. Like, if they actually became a character, I would see what they were like. What are their abilities? Do they look nice? What are their magia, their doubles? I basically look at the entire character, and only then do I decide if I'm actually going to roll for them. Does that mean I only roll for characters that are strong? No, I roll for Alikari even though they have no use anywhere. Alikari is a character that is not useful for their Kimochi, because the fire Kimochi is the one where you use Charge Blast and their Excel. So basically, and they're not good for mirrors either, meaning Alikari at the dude unit has no use anywhere, right? They have no use, and I still roll for them because I just like their aesthetic. I like Alikari as a character ship. I just like them, okay? So I just decided to roll for them anyway. But there are other characters like Mitama. Mitama is one of my top 3 favorite characters in the game. I like Mitama more than Karin and Alina. And I didn't roll for Ellie Mitama unit because I just didn't like her basic Mitama unit, and I didn't like her Harugi unit either. Now her Darkness unit from the last from chapter 10, her chapter 10 Darkness unit is so fucking good. I'm probably gonna roll for it. But the point I want to make is, I don't really decide ahead of time who I'm going to roll for. I'm just going to see the unit when it releases, and only then will I decide who I will actually roll for. So I don't know if I would actually pull for a Mifu Momo. It depends on who they actually decide to be in the game. Like, are they good or not? Next up, coming from Dark, Omega Ayaka Fast. Do you think Shizuka Ayaka unit will ever happen? I think it could happen. Okay, here's the thing, it could happen, but I don't think it will ever happen. Mostly because, to be honest, they are so far down the list of possible duo units that by the time it could happen, Shizuku might already be dead, because Shizuku has quite a lot of death flags on her from main story, so I think that by the time she would actually be able to have a dual unit, she probably will already be long dead by then, so I don't think Shizuku will survive long enough for that to be a Shizuku Ayaka double unit. That's basically my reason. But the thing is, here's the thing, like I said, it could happen. It's not impossible. There is a possibility for it to happen. I just don't think it will happen, right? Like 90% chance it won't happen, but we still have this 10%. And if you're a real Shizu Ayaka fan, maybe you will hope for that 10%. Next, I have a question from Ma9. How to not suck like Memoria for girls? Basic point is, I have an entire video about Memoria. I'm not going to put it up right now, but the point is, because here's the thing, the point is just select Memoria that give damage, like either attack up or damage up. The sword, like both of the sword icons, they're all sword icons. One of this is just a sword icon with like an arrow up, and the other is the sword icon that's like glowing or whatever, like red or yellow. But the point is, just give yourself damage up or attack Memoria, and you're gonna be fine like 90% of the time. There's literally nothing else to it. Just get damage and attack. Damage and attack is literally all you need. There's nothing else to worry about. Does your Memoria give attack up? Great, use it. Does your Memoria give damage up? Great, use it. Does your Memoria give neither of those? Throw it away. Okay, maybe don't throw it away, but it's probably not going to be the best. Like there might, of course, you have stuff like Excel Up Memoria, okay? Excel Up for your Maga characters. But if you're someone who doesn't know shit about Memoria, it doesn't matter. Just pick attack up and damage up and you're gonna be fine. And then when you get more comfortable, when you have a better understanding of the game, then you can branch out to say, hey, maybe I know that this character needs Excel MP up and this character needs MP up, and then you're gonna be more reliable in your choices. But if you have no idea how to actually select the correct Memoria, just get attack up, just get damage up, and you're fucking done. Go to the fandom wiki and just search for attack up and just search for damage up and look for the Memoria. Get all of those. Done. You have Iro Flowerfleet Memoria, you have Yatio Flowerfleet Memoria for the best two actives in the game. Also the red symbol one, also the best two actives, and you already have two of your 4 Memoria set. It's literally that simple. Moving on from Donite Diorite, we have thoughts on Season 3. I made an entire video about me just talking about my thoughts on Season 3, so you probably haven't seen that because otherwise you wouldn't be asking this question. So yeah, just go to my channel, look for the Season 3 videos. If you want to have a TLDR version, I actually really enjoyed Season 3 for the main reason that it actually fixed many of the problems that the game's ending had. The game's ending had no consequences and no logical through line from the rest of the story. The end of the game, the chapter 10, was really just, we're gonna have a happy end because we want to have a happy end. They just snap their fingers, bam, happy end, everyone is fine, no one dies, everything is fine, great. No consequences for anyone except Nemo for some fucking reason, who was in a wheelchair. But apart from Nemo being in a wheelchair, which ultimately didn't matter that much because she wasn't really doing any athletic stuff anyway, apart from that, no one had any consequences. And the ending of the anime actually gave people reasonable consequences. They had no plan on how to save Ui. I need to make sure you guys understand this. They had no fucking plan in the game, in chapter 10, at the end of Arc 1, how they were going to save Ui. They just fucking YOLO'd the shit out of the entirety of chapter 10, and they still somehow saved Ui, even though they had no fucking idea how to do it, which was such a big fucking stupid thing to happen, to be honest, that they just went in, like, threw their hands up, like, oh, I hope, we don't know what the fuck we're doing, but hopefully Ui will just be saved, and then Ui was saved, which is like, oh, what? How does that work? You don't waltz your way into fucking Ukraine and go, I don't know how to beat Russia, but I'm gonna throw my hands up, it's gonna happen, and you just waltz your way into Ukraine, and suddenly Putin decides that he's going to pull his troops out of Ukraine because you just threw your hands up and said, I just hope it will work out fine. I'm sorry that I had to go into real world scenarios, but you just can't understand just how mad it makes me that none of the main characters had any fucking idea what they were doing. They were basically being completely blindfolded going into chapter 10, and somehow everything worked out well. That somehow no one died, no one had any negative consequences. Like, it doesn't have to be death, okay? I don't want characters to die. I just want there to be consequences. But there were no fucking consequences for anyone, and everything just turned out fine. They just had a picture book, happy ending for every single character with no consequences. How the fuck does that happen? That is so fucking stupid. I can't even... Okay, I'm gonna stop going on about this because I hope you understand just how mad it made me. So the anime, I know the anime was extremely fucking bloodthirsty. Like, extremely bloodthirsty. Killed characters that shouldn't have even died, to be honest. Like, some of the characters that died in the anime should not have died in the anime, to be honest. But at the same time, at least they fucking tried. At least they made it make sense. At least the anime said, hey, these characters don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they're going into a situation that is life or death. And with characters that don't know fucking anything going into a life or death situation, guess what? The outcome is not going to be life, the outcome is going to be death. So it kind of made sense. The anime ending made so much more sense, and which is why I like the season 3 ending so much more than the game's ending. But it still fucking sucked. I mean, the anime ending still had so many fucking problems. The anime ending is still pretty bad. The anime ending is still pretty bad, but I still liked it. I still liked it so much more than the game's ending. Most because the game's ending was so fucking stupid. Let's move on though. Let's move on. I've talked enough about this. Moving on, we have a question from Angel, who asks, how powerful do you think is Pernell? Do you think she's immortal or comic book power doesn't lowers? Try to do some bad jokes. Yeah, hair man. I think I'm your first Guatemalan sub. Maybe. I looked at my, I actually did look at my statistics, where it said that I did have quite a few views from Guatemala, and I don't actually know if all of those views came specifically from you, Angel. Maybe they did. Sadly, my analytics do not tell me about subscribers, so I don't know if you're my only Guatemalan subscriber, but I can at least tell that there are quite a lot of views from Guatemala. Maybe they were all from you. But yeah, how powerful I think is Pernell? It's hard to say, because Pernell is someone who is working basically on her own strength. So whatever comic burden, whatever comic potential Pernell had doesn't really matter that much, because she has basically built herself up. So you have on one hand a character's strength being dictated by their comic potential, like Maga. Basically, we know that most of her power comes from comic potential. But on the other hand, we also know that characters can just learn stuff. They can learn new magic, they can gather experience, become more powerful just through experience. Homura was able to create her own witch labyrinth, which is her house that we see in the anime. Her house is a witch labyrinth that she just learned to create, because Homura knew that magical girls turn into witches, and witches can create labyrinths, therefore magical girls should be able to create labyrinths. And she learned that. And she also learned how to heal her eyes, which is not basically healing, because when you can't see like me, I have glasses, what is happening is my eyes aren't damaged. They aren't damaged. It's also like the lens, because your eyes are basically a lens from a physical perspective, and the lens is simply maladjusted. It's a maladjusted lens is what your eyes are when you need glasses, which is why your glasses work in the first place. Is because they basically work out the maladjustment by having their own adjustment. But the point is that Homura was able to not heal her eyes, but adjust her eyes. Body modification is what I want to try to get at. Homura was able to do body modification with magic, and she was able to do to summon a barrier and a labyrinth, a witch labyrinth. All of that basically saying is that there's a lot of stuff you can learn through experience. And with Pernell being canonically over 1,000 years old by the time Tart Micah happens, which, yes, if you've read Pernell's Magical Girl story, it talks about her, about what she did during the founding of France, which is at around 400 AD. That's 1,000 years in the past of when Tart happens. So by the time Tart Micah happens, Panel is already 1,000 fucking years old, okay? I want to make that sure. So yeah, I don't think she's immortal, but the thing is that because she's been around for so much time, she simply learned a lot of stuff. She's got so much experience that she was able to put that experience to work and basically give herself the powerful experience. So I don't think she has a lot of combat potential. I don't think she has a lot of combat potential. I don't think she has any of that innate power. I think most of, or almost all of her power comes just from experience. Moving on, we have a question from Juan Rodriguez, who says, are you going to continue making Naruto recap videos? I wanted to. The last time I made a Q&A video like this, I actually did say that I was working on another recap video, which was true. I was working on another recap video at the time I was recording the last Q&A video. But the point is, when I was recording that video, I had recorded an old event. I think it was the swimsuit event for Sakurako. I recorded the entire event of that with English text. But when I was trying to actually do the recap in text and voice, I realized that, wait a second, this is kind of fucking stupid and kind of fucking pointless, because Maga Union Translations are putting out the entire event as an English video. They and not just in subtitles, in the actual text. Now, if you're wondering how can they have the actual text in game be English, I can't tell you why, because it might be in some cases illegal, but I'm not sure. I'm not a fucking lawyer. But the point is, they were able to do that, and they have that on their channel. So with them actually uploading entire events in English and even giving you the ability, potentially in some way, you could maybe find an APK file you could play Maga record on that gives you in-game, as you play, the English text, which might be possible. I don't know how, but it could be possible from what I have seen. You could play it that way as well. With all of that, what is the point of making recap videos if you can just read the story yourself? If you go through, for example, the Super Sakurako event, you go to YouTube, you look at that from Maga Union Translations, you look at that. If it's too slow for you, you put on times to speed. It takes you maybe like 25 minutes to get through that entire event, and if I were to give you a summary, it would be like 12 minutes, okay, like half the time. So just by spending 12 more minutes, you get the entire event without it being a recap, without it being a summary. You just get the entire event, which is spending a little bit more time. So just get the entire event. What is actually the point of making recap videos if they just have the entire event? I don't know. Just get the video. That's basically the reason why I stopped making actual videos. So as it currently stands, I actually won't be making more actual recap videos. I won't be doing that, because the entire video is just up there, and if I give you a summary, it's going to be wrong. There's going to be places I'm going to be missing context, and I don't want you to miss context, so please just read the original event from Maga Union Translations, and then you'll get everything you need. We only have a question for MB. I'd like to hear the thoughts on Mifu as a character. How long do you have spent on Maga record over the years? I've spent maybe like 70 to 80 bucks on Maga record over the years, but that is like over 5 years. I've played Maga record since release, which is over 5 years, like around 5 years actually at this point. Not quite over 5 years, but around 5 years at this point. And like 80 bucks over 5 years. It's pretty darn cheap, to be honest. I guess that's pretty fucking darn cheap, to be honest. Yeah, basically all of that comes from just paying for Magia Pass, because that's what I do. I just pay for Magia Pass. But I've only been paying for Magia Pass for like the last 1.5 years, maybe. Maybe 1 year. So I haven't been paying for Magia Pass that long, but it's just been Magia Pass basically. My favorite character, Mifuyu. I wanted to make a video Mifuyu, but the thing about video Mifuyu is that I know that I'm going to ruffle way too many fucking feathers. The point is, Mifuyu is a character who is very realistic, who has very strong basics to her characters, but it's also the kind of character who I very much vehemently disagree with her actions. I disagree so fucking strongly with her actions, and I think she's been very abusive. She's been very abusive to Yachio in her in what she's done so far. She's been extremely malicious in her actions, not in her words, not in her morals. She has tricked herself into thinking that what she does is benevolent, but her actions are malicious. And that's kind of the thing about Mifuyu, is that she says and believes in what is good, in what is right, but does things that are wrong. That's kind of the point about Mifuyu as a character, which is a very interesting thing to talk about, but I just don't want to put that effort into Mifuyu. I just don't want to put that effort into Mifuyu as a character, you know? Vows of virtue, deeds of malice, basically, is what I would think about Mifuyu. But yeah, I just don't want to put that effort into making that video, because it would have to be a long video with a lot of depth, and to be honest, I don't want to put that much effort into Maga videos anymore, to be honest. Yeah, I just don't want to. Next we have a question from Aaron. I'm going to go a little bit faster because it's already been half an hour. Jesus. Aaron Cook, who asks, do you like Actor Story so far? If not, how would you improve it? I don't actually like it. Simply because I think there's too much stuff going on at once. I think this Actor Story would maybe be a lot better if it was more properly segmented. How would I improve it? I would have written it completely different from the start. What I would have done with Arc 2 is, instead of all the different factions coming to Kamihama at once and then fighting in Kamihama, I would actually say like, hey, the Kimochi Stones have landed outside of Kamihama in many different areas, and the main characters would have to travel to different areas to, for example, go to a Kirimine village, which is where the Tokime clan comes from, and in there search for the Kimochi Stone. In that sense, you could focus specifically on the Tokime clan. Okay, because you could have just your main characters, just Mikazuki Villa and some other characters like Kanagi, for example, and Hinano and whatever, and focus on them and Tokime clan and have a very focused experience, very much being able to dive into the characters. You're going to be getting a lot of a backstory on Shizuka, on Charu, on Sunao, on all of the other Tokime characters, on the background Tokime characters as well, on the Mooks, the Faces characters. You're going to be able to dive a lot deeper into the ideals that make Tokime clan what they are. So with that, you have a lot more focus going on into these characters, which would be so much fucking better instead of having like 5 chapters in a row where they were just side characters, okay? And then once the Tokime clan has been dealt with, basically, and the Kimochi-chan has been gathered, some of the Tokime clan members would stick with the group, and maybe the main trio would say, hey, I'm going to follow you guys now. And then maybe Kanagi and Hino, they go back to Kamihama, while the Tokime trio now sticks with the group, and they go together to Futatsuki City. They go to where Promised Blood is, and they deal with Promised Blood. And you can see how that would be. They would still have these conflicts between Shizuka and Promised Blood, and Shizuka would still have her fucking ideological crises every single fucking time. But you would still have the ability to have these interplays between different factions, like the interplay between Tokime and Promised Blood with this setup, while at the same time being able to actually focus on a single group at a time, while also limiting the amount of characters you have to worry about at a time, because now you don't have to worry about every single Magoka in Kamihama. Now you have to worry only about the characters that actually came from Kamihama to Futatsuki City. This is a very small amount. So that's how I would have done Arc 2. You would still be able to have the focus on every single one of these factions and the interplay between factions without having to throw every single character into the same fucking pot immediately from chapter 1 onwards, which is fucking chaotic. So much chaos. Remove that chaos. It doesn't help anyone, okay? And you will also be able to focus much more on each individual Kimochi. Right now in Arc 2, every Kimochi just appears like, hey, I'm a Kimochi, and then immediately it dies, and it doesn't matter. Every Kimochi doesn't matter right now. It just appears, dies, done. What's the point of the Kimochis right now? It doesn't matter. But with that, you would actually be able to have like an entire story surrounding each individual Kimochi. It would be so much better. That's what I would do. Moving on. We have a question from Lex Luffy, who asks best low mid-ready characters. I'm gonna have to speed out even more. Jesus Christ. It's actually a very simple question. Best low match character is probably Yachio. That's about it. When it comes to like lower characters, there's one character like Yachio who is the best at so many things. Yachio is the best at farming PvE quests, and she's the best at doing solo mirrors. And she's the best at doing hard content like EX and challenge quests. She's kind of like the best at everything simply because her base set is really good, but also her spirit enhancement. Yachio's spirit enhancement is just so fucking good. And it's really easy to get slots for her because once you have her, you can just buy her slots in the bottle shop, and you can buy it in the Maga chip shop. So it's very easy to get slots for her immediately as soon as you get her just once. And since she is a low rarity, it's very easy, very trivial to get just one of her, and then you can just immediately push her to level 100, double, 4 slots, everything. And what else do you need? Right, you also have Kaede for healing, sure, you have Kaku for healing, you have Tsuruno for dodge stuff, dodge shenanigans, you have Oriko for dodge shenanigans. Like, there's other stuff you can do, to be honest, but if you want to just have the one low rarity character that completely destroys everything, just get a Yachio, solo Yachio with 4-star level 100 with the best stuff you can get, and that's it. That's it. What else do you need? Solo Yachio can just win most mirrors battles. Solo Yachio is fucking invincible in mirrors. So yeah, she's literally the best. Just Yachio. Just Yachio. Forget the rest, just Yachio. Now I have a question from Lolo, who asked, if you could be a friend of a character, who would it be or something like that? I don't actually think I would be best or good friends with anyone, to be honest. Because I feel like all of these characters have their own little problem area that they need to worry about. They all have their own circle of friends that they need to worry about, and I feel like none of the characters and their friend circles and their struggles is anything that I have anything to do with whatsoever. I feel like I wouldn't fit into any of that in any way, not just because I'm a guy, but just because I just don't fit in with any of that because of just who I am. That I don't think I would actually want to be friends with any of these characters, to be honest. I would just be happy if these characters were really good friends with each other, and I would not actually want to intrude on that in any way. If I was actually going to be friends with any of these characters, it's hard to say who. Maybe like Mitama or Kanagi, just because they seem to be like fun people. But apart from that, I don't fucking know. All these people have like a part of that character that is kind of yikes, to be honest, so I don't know. Probably not them, to be honest. Question from Lang08. Based on what I've seen of Arc 2, what do you think the story might end? Do you think it'll open for Arc 3 to give us on that? They don't need to leave it open. A writer can continue from any story. Think of any story that you personally believe is done, right? Any book, any media, any story that you believe is done, finished. If a writer comes along, they can just decide to continue the story anyway, okay? There is no way to end a story. A story is never done, never ever. As long as someone can come in and just decide to continue the story, a story is never done. You could end the story with, and then the universe imploded, and the entire universe ended. And you could still have a writer come in afterwards and say, and then somehow the universe came back, and all those characters just came back, and then everything just continued, right? There's no way to end a story for continuing. So yeah, they can always just make Arc 3, okay? So I don't think that there's anything to worry about. How do you think the story might end? I think the story is going to end with Alina, who is currently mind controlled by Mikoto Sena. So there's Mikoto Sena, who became the Mirror Switch. So she became the Mirror Switch, but at the same time, Mitama made her wish. And when Mitama made her wish, Mikoto Sena became not just the Mirror Switch, but also a brain parasite. And so currently we have a brain parasite called Mikoto Sena, who has infected Alina during Arc 1 and mind controlled her to destroy the city, which is why in Arc 1 Alina was evil. So in Arc 1 Alina was evil because she was being mind controlled by a brain parasite called Mikoto Sena, which is, by the way, not me rambling, but is actually canon to the game. read arc 2. So yeah, so Alina was only evil because she was only evil because she was mind controlled. Alina is actually not evil. It's canon. It's canon that Alina is not evil, but she did evil in Arc 1 because she was being mind controlled by Mikado Sena. But yeah, in Arc 2, she's still being mind controlled by Mikado Sena. And I think what's going to happen is at the end of the story, like in the next few chapters, Alina, who's going to be mind controlled by Mikado Sena, comes in, says, I'm going to do evil stuff. No, it's going to do evil stuff. It's going to be another final boss. So yes, the final boss of Arc 2 is also going to be Alina, who is mind controlled, because the writers have no fucking idea how to write a final villain if it's not Alina being mind controlled. Alina being mind controlled is literally the only fucking villain the writers have the know how to put into the story. So yeah, that's how Arc 2 is going to end. Mikado Sena controlling Alina is going to be the final boss. And then probably at the end, I assume some sort of big, super, mega evil Kimoji is going to happen. Like some Kimoji mega sword is going to happen, okay? And then Mikado Sena is going to jump from Alina to the mega sword, to the big Kimoji, and then the final boss is going to be basically the Kimoji mega sword controlled by Mikado Sena, and that's going to be the end. And Mitama is going to be like, oh, this mega sword is going to destroy Kamihama because of my wish, and people are going to be like, oh, but your wish, we're going to defy your wish, Mitama, by defeating this mega sword, and then they defeat the mega sword together, and like whatever. And then Alina is probably go into another fucking coma until she wakes up, and then in Arc 3 she's going to get mind control again because fucking, oh my god. And that's that. Cordol asks, who is your favorite character from each faction in Arc 2? Okay, let's go down the list. The Kamihama Magia Union had two of my main characters actually no longer be part of it, so Kanagi Mitama are no longer part of Kamihama Magia Union, so I can't actually say them. I don't actually know who it is from Kamihama Union. No, I'm going to abstain from saying favorite character from Maga Union because all of them fucking suck. They're all fucking shit. Now, Rika Ren might be part of Kamihama Union. I don't actually know. I don't actually know if they are or if they just considered it. Like we know they said they're going to consider joining, but I don't know if they actually did. Maybe they did. If they did, it's going to be Ren, probably, from Rika Ren. But if they didn't actually end up joining, I don't fucking know. I'm going to abstain from actually saying who it is if it's not Rika or Ren from Kamihama Union, because they're all shit. I fucking hate all of them, to be honest. Next up, we have Tokime Clan. It's going to be Chiharu, simply because she's just the most cute of all of them. None of them are particularly deep. Like you might have say like, okay, Sunao, she has some depth to her because she was an assassin. She killed people. Sunao might have the highest body count of any character in the game. Like Sunao might be the person who has killed the most amount of people in the entire Madoka universe. Okay, but even then, currently there's not much to her because everyone just forgave her. Everyone was like, you know what? So now you might have killed like hundreds of people. Maybe not that many, but you might have killed like dozens of people. But we forgive you. And so now it's like, oh, you shouldn't forgive me. I'm a bad person. And they were like, we forgive you anyway. And that's the end of the story, right? There's not much else that happens after that. But yeah, I just like Chiharu because she's cute. Shizuku. The thing about Shizuku is that Shizuku decides that she just has a mental breakdown every single fucking chapter. And at first it was kind of endearing. At first it was kind of funny that she had a mental breakdown every single chapter. But after a while it gets old. It gets old after a while. When it's like the 5th chapter in a row where she has a mental breakdown, you're like, come on. She's like, how can you still have a mental breakdown 5 times in a row? Come on. How can you have a mental breakdown every single fucking Monday? So with that in mind, probably Chiharu. Then we have the Promised Blood, which I think is gotta be Shizuka. Probably Shizuka. If you're not counting Shizuka because she's fucking dead, then probably Aojuri. So if you're not Shizuka, Sakuya, probably. I'm sorry, I said Shizuka. Sakuya. If it comes aside from Sakuya, it's probably Aojuri, because they're also kind of endearing, at least in the way they act, to be honest. Kind of endearing, and they have some depth, but also not that many strong opinions. To be honest, I don't have many strong opinions on any Arc 2 characters. Like, all the Arc 2 characters are really lukewarm, in my opinion. Except for maybe Sakuya, who I liked a lot until she fucking died. The next up, we have Puella Care. would I care? I think Livia, just because Livia is fucking hot, but outside of just, you know, attractiveness, Livia is also one of the most mysterious characters in the entire game. Livia is the one who could be maybe the most evil character in the game. We just don't know. And I think just the fact that she could be, just the potential for that, is just something that I'm really interested in. I just want to see what happens with her, just because she's so fucking mysterious. So she is very cute. Yosuru, I don't know. I actually don't like Yosuru that much. She's fine. She's fun. She's a fun character. But I think she was more fun when she was just being an asshole. Yosuru said fuck. Yosuru legitimately said fuck many times. She had a really potty mouth. She was running her mouth at everyone all the time. She was swearing harder than I've been doing this video before she met Livia. So she actually kind of got more boring as time went on. But yeah, maybe probably still Livia is the most interesting out of all of these, I would say. Next up, we have... Okay, so we have the folklore, and I think folklore just isn't that interesting in their characters because they're all really wishy-washy. They're all really sad, but have nothing else to them. All of the folklore zero characters are just like, oh, I'm just very sad today. So yesterday I was sad. Today I'm really sad. You know what? Tomorrow I'm also going to be really, really sad. So I just don't think there's that much to these characters because they're just sad all the time. And that's it. There's like the entirety of their character, and I just don't really care that much about them. I originally thought that Asahi was kind of cool, but then she just was sad the entire time. Like, she started out being really badass, but then she just was sad all the time, and that was really dumb. Urara started out as an asshole, but then also was just really sad all the time. Then we have Sasha, who started out as being kind of spunky and the only heterosexual character in the entire game, but then she also just was sad all the time and just left Neo Magius and to be sad alone. And then we have Rabi, who also I thought was really mysterious and interesting and unique until we find out that she was just sad all the time. I'm still gonna say it's probably Rabi because I like that she's still kind of mysterious in a way because we don't know that much about her, but she's just sad all the time, and that's just not very interesting to that's just not interesting. You have a character that's just fucking sad all the time. So yeah, overall I just don't like Folklore Zero that much, which only leaves us with Neo Magius, and I think they're all kind of assholes. All Neo Magius characters are kind of assholes, but at least when it comes to that, Shigure and Hagumu are at least being kind of endearing because they're at least trying to do what's right in some way. I mean, they're still Migaka supremacists and like fascists and whatever, but they're just incompetent. They're just idiot losers, right? Which makes them endearing, and you know that they're not fascists because they're evil. They're just fascists because they just fucking don't know any better. They just really don't know any better. And with how we're at the point we're currently at in Arc 2, they're not fascists anymore. They've basically said like, hey, that was a stupid idea. We should probably not do that anymore. So they've become better people now. So yeah, it's probably Shigure and Hagumu, both of them together as an item. I think they're doing really well now, so it's gotta be those two. I think everyone else in Neo Magius is just kind of fucking an asshole. Mitsune doesn't count as Neo Magius in my opinion, because on one hand she's betrayed them and doesn't really count themselves among them anymore. On the other hand, she's kind of like a tool for Himena. Like, she was a tool for Himena and then just spent the rest of Arc 2 in a hospital. She spent like 5 or 6 chapters in a fucking hospital and didn't do anything. So she has like not that much of a presence. And I like Mitsune. I really like Mitsune. I don't want to call her among those fucking fascists, to be honest. Mitsune is a good character. Mitsune is good. I like Mitsune. Shout out to Lumi. But yeah. Yeah, I could take away Shigure Haru for Neo Magius. So yeah, that was that. And I think we're actually at the end of all questions now. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.